Hello, everyone. I'm Rob Smith in the Black VTF here at T3 Live with this week's market wrap up. And we got the SPY still deteriorating. It goes ex dividend, and it's an inside day and still would have been even without the dividend because we'd be up here and open on the lows and down. So you can see this decline here, now back in the middle of all this stuff. So the question is, does it get worse? A lot of these internals are breaking down, but there's still pockets of strength, which I'll get to in a second. But we've got the Brexit next week, and so finally get rid of that. Brexit, whatever you want. Let's just get it over with. So on the week, you can see this here. We got the weekly. That goes hammer, countered by shooter, top of the triangle, and drops back in. Not the end of the world, and you could still see about 202, something like that. Here, not be the end of the world, although it would seem like it if used long. If you take a look at the TLT bonds, TLT still going inside month and up for you here. Inside month breaks out of this 3-month inside pattern and gets up here. Now just kind of sitting up there. Obviously, it's had a nice run, but we're going to respect that while it's still intact. But certainly a good counterplay when if you're sitting there trying to bottom pick the SPY, you might as well buy something that's going up. So that's going on there. And the thing that's really stinking the joint up is the Qs. QQQ is just all sorts of trouble going on over here. And just if you take a look at the monthly, when that SPY had the huge rally, this is all it can muster now. 1, 2, 3, 4 months doing this and red on the month. It's not the end of the world, but it's doing nothing. And except that this month it is dropping, and some of the usual suspects over there I'll get to in a second. One of the things that we do like is we're getting a little volatility spike in the old VIX, and if you watch the VXX, this is going to be really interesting because now that we had this big spike in volatility, and now you can see this 1, 2, 3, 4 days like in here. Now, the question is, what is this? Was this an aberration that comes back up, market starts rising again, and fear subsides and right back down to the lows? Or does this go measured move out of here? And that would be a nice move. You got 15 to 17 here, and you're coming out of about 13, 14. So easily right up here, 18, 15, 19. Wouldn't be surprising there. So we want to keep an eye on that. And that would probably have something to do with the Brexit, but, we'll get to there. When you go back to the NASDAQ problem, you got the old fanger stocks like Facebook, just gap down, hold, drifting lower. Not the end of the world, but it's certainly not helping the cause. Netflix doing all sorts of nothing, and, that's, at least in this group, is kind of good. Here you can see that inside month still forming on the weekly right in the middle of all this range, and so doji month or doji week to see how we get out of there. Then you go to the Googster, and you got a little bit more of an issue. You got Goog going inside month and down here, inside month breaking all this. So you can see this 1, 2, 3, 4 months within this bar's range, and that's a pretty good move from here, even if they challenge that. If you go to Amazon, who once was first will then be last. Coming off of this slight higher high and then drop it in. Certainly not the end of the world either, but not helping the cause. And the real losers are the IBB. Pig. This thing's horrible. And if you look at these guys, you can see this monthly. Still, I talk about this monthly stuff. Lower series of lower highs on the monthly, and no end in sight. So still within all of this kind of range, but certainly having an issue and going down into there. And there's case by case basis. There's a few things when the news comes out going up or down. But Alexion, yeah, great, huh? VIIB, Regeneron, pigs. So that's a problem. Now on the bright side, crude oil not dying. So if we go to UWTI. Today, this is a pattern we like to look for, the kicking pattern. And that is one long red or green bar countered the other way. And anybody here, this shows just a complete wipeout the day before. You come back up in here. Anybody who stayed short here is screwed and spends the rest of the day covering. So that is a very nice pattern to look for. And if you looked at Apple did it on the daily the other way. So that was pretty nice there too. So with the oil stocks, if you go to XLE, yeah, they've come in a bit, but nowhere near what NASDAQ is. So it's not the end of the world over there. You even had Exxon going to the highs of the year today. And so that's not bad. So we'll be watching some of that, continue to watch that crude. And on the weekly stuff, you got like a Helmerich Payne inside week. You got NOV. Well, we'll be watching a little bit of that. Take a look at that stuff over the weekend and see what gives. Another real problem here is the trannies. And trannies just can't get going. And these airlines are just horrible. Delta, American, it's horrible. And so that's a problem. If we go to gold, going up to the highs here, but hits that top of the triangle there and backs off. Now going to be an inside day here. So if you're watching some of that more volatile stuff like that nugget, here, you can see that yesterday goes into these recent highs and then just falls apart. Now comes back up to try and hammer, or the J Nugger for the real wild swings. And some people like to shy away from this stuff that really moves. But the good thing about this is you can take the signals like your inside 60 yesterday, very clean, inside 60 here, and this thing just absolutely fell apart. And you can start small and look for more ways to add, because you can expect this thing to have these bigger moves, which is good. Here you can see this inside 60 and kaboom. Then inside 60 and boom down, right? Inside 60 here, back up. Inside 60 here, calls that low. Inside 60 here, then tries to rest that, does not. But when you're trading these things, you don't have to open up with a full position. You can look to add, because when they go, they really go. That's a good thing. So if we take a look at the XME not falling apart here either. I mean, so you got to take out that or that, and you're back in the middle of this range. So it's not doing too much, but on the weekly, it does counter shooting star with hammer. So we'll see how that goes for the crappy rock stuff. I post a lot on Twitter and talk about in my videos about reversal strats, and one was beautiful today. Rev strat here in Tesla, and it was absolutely gorgeous. And so what you look for is an inside bar that gets countered by a hammer or shooter, or goes out through the one side in one bar. So here you can see this inside bar that's completely within inside that range, goes up, comes back, whammo. And the reason that is, this is a price equilibrium. It was an attempt to the upside. Stopped out on the short side, comes back in. Guess where the long stops are? Here, 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 here. Kapow! Thanks for playing. And so we look for that very often. Another group that's causing some problems here is financials, and it's not the end of the world, but we had a little woman coming out and talking about interest rates and blah, 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 blah. So you've got here on the FAS, you can see this higher high, lower low, higher high, lower low. So we'd want to start reclaiming back up into here if you can. XLF goes inside day. So we'll be seeing that, but you got stuff here. You can see this formation very obviously now without a million lines. Ready? See that? See that? Okay, I'd be watching this inside day right here come Monday morning in the XLF, because you got stuff like Goldman Sachs still stinking the joint up. Goldman Sachs takes the inside month to the downside. And so with Goldman Sachs, you want to see if it's weak enough to try and take all these guys out. These stops are gone. Now it's a question of anything lower than that. So we'll keep an eye on the Goldman Sachs. But money's still going to utilities, baby. Inside month and up for the Utes, and XLU goes inside week. So it wasn't there bolstering us, but certainly not falling apart as the chase for yield continues. XLP a little bit lesser, but still hanging around the highs. You have AEP in the Utes. Daily momentum hammer, that's a hammer on the highs. You go inside week near the highs. You've got in the XLP, you got stuff like Hershey still hanging around the highs here. You've got General Mills. So you just got to go to the right places if you want to be doing some buying. I'd keep an eye on these REITs here, VNQ as well, going out on the highs of towards the highs of the month today. So we'll see how that goes. And then if you just look around at other things that are acting well, if you want to be trading the long side, stuff like Wynn Resorts, still hanging near the inside month and up toward the highs of this month. Here you've got EQIX. This thing just continues to attempt to just go completely vertical, and that's a really nice monthly chart here. So I'm not saying jump in there and get it, but when you look for setups on things that are strong, certainly strong stuff shouldn't get weak when the market strengthens. You got Lulu still hanging around the weeklies inside week and hanging around the recent highs. You've got Ulta Salon still the king, although a little boring up here, but still just not backing off, in Dollar Tree still consolidating near the highs. And then during the day, just trying to pick up anything. Always watching the dollar gainer, dollar loser list, percentage gainer, percentage loser list. And you can pick up stuff like this. The EBS today was very nice. You can see how much, even after this, you had plenty of time. Look at that 15er right there, inside 15, but all in here. Plenty of time to help get it roll over. PRAH. Another one nice, and AMED was another one, just tracking that kind of stuff. And then on the upside, ALRM, and Mobileye. We're picking up some steam here too. So what I do is I tweet a lot of that stuff out, and so I also make a weekend video where I get much more thorough into all the broader averages, sectors, subsectors, and stocks. So if you're on the VTF, I post that video in the VTF. If not, you can follow me on Twitter at Robin the Black, or you can go to my YouTube, Smiths in the Black, all one word, and I get that video out to you for over the weekend. So we'll kick back, see what the Brexit's got for us next week. Hope all the fathers out there have a wonderful Father's Day. I'm Rob Smith in the Black VTF here at T3 Live with this week's Market Wrap Up.